Hi friends, I hope my microphone works. Yeah, I think it works. Cool. This is Katya Gorbacheva with Total Body Lab and welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about 5 worst workout trends that just make my hair stand. I have seen these year after year, time after time, and it's amazing how these trends just don't die. They're not willing to die. The stuff that has worked year after year, people start doubting, but they come up with stuff that is just ridiculous, and keep believing it. And yeah, if you find any more, except for the ones that I'm going to discuss, please drop them in the comments. I would love to debunk them in another video. You know, I love rants and I love debunking myths and just kind of pick things apart and throw studies and examples from my own athletes and from my personal lifting experiences on why stuff works a certain way and why certain things don't work, despite common belief. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do today. Before we dive into it, let me ask you to hit a like and subscribe. If you don't like the video, later on, you can just unclick your like. All right, deal? But don't forget to do that. My channel is still small, so that really helps me and my team. All right, let's get into it. Number 1, choosing workouts based on if you're a man or a woman. And I've trained some people who don't identify as either. I've trained transgender people. Somehow, we have figured it out that it doesn't matter. Even before that, people have figured out that people who train seriously have figured out that, yes, we recover differently in some shape or form. Yes, maybe like people who are genetically born female, their upper bodies develop slower. We are weaker in the upper body, and there may be some tweaks in terms of like bench press and how much you can periodize, how much volume you can throw in terms of upper body movements. But outside of that, we're pretty much the same. Like everybody should squat, everybody should deadlift, everybody should, learn how to do push-ups and pull-ups and work with free weights, not just machines. But it blows my mind that women just usually do classes and work with body weight, which is not enough, and men usually overwork themselves and rest too much and do like a bunch of singles or tester PRs all the time. Like, yeah, we all know you want to be strong. That's great. Well, stick with your program and don't just keep beating your head against the wall, testing how strong you have gotten over the last like week or two. And for women, you're not going to grow into a Hulk tomorrow if you take a weight into your hand, right? You usually, if you're young and healthy, need quite a bit of resistance training to actually develop muscle, to be more defined, to look better, to feel better. And just your body weight is usually not enough, especially if it's for lower body movements, such as squats, or like if you're deadlifting like a 20-kilo bar, 45-pound bar. That's not enough. Like kids do that. Kids do more than that. And we're not getting into kids training. That must be another video. That also is another thing that kind of upsets me, of like how parents don't worry when kids do ballet and gymnastics from super early age, but then they worry when kids do weight training, even though like ballet and gymnastics is harder and potentially breaks your body more, ages your body so much quicker, and this. Anyways, next topic. Okay, thing number 2, the workout trend number 2 that I do not like. Splitting workouts into the workouts that tone versus the workouts that bulk. Oh boy. Let's just focus on core principles here, right? When you train a muscle, what's it gonna do? You subject it to certain challenge. You basically tear muscle fibers. There's micro tears in your muscle fibers, and then when they heal, they grow stronger and bigger, right? So your muscle slowly, when you train it, let's say biceps, right? I'm doing a bicep curl. It is going to grow bigger and stronger. You cannot work portions of that muscle like people like to do lower abs and upper abs. You can't do that. Abs work from attachment to attachment, and so does biceps, and so does everything else. okay? You can't pick a portion of the muscle lengthwise and just focus on that. That's bogus. That does not, is not possible, right? So we figured out the whole muscle works, and if you train it, it grows bigger and stronger, right? There's no such thing as toning a muscle. When you think of somebody who looks toned or defined, they usually just have a lower body fat percentage covering that muscle, right? So for example, I have quite a big body fat percentage, right? So you don't see like super huge guns, even when I flex, like you can only see like one line on my triceps, maybe a little bit on my delt. When I was leaner, means when I had less body fat on me, I actually had a lot less muscle, but I looked more toned or more defined, what people said I did, which meant just that I had a lot less body fat to cover my muscle. I am a lot stronger now. I have a lot more muscle, but it has a little nice blanket of fat, which is healthy, actually. It's totally fine. So I highly advise that you do not pick your workouts based on if you want to tone or if you want to like grow and bulk the muscle, because all exercises basically do the same thing, and muscles are really dumb. If you don't train them, they get smaller. If you train them, they get larger. You can't tone them. That's not a thing that is possible, right? So for example, when women do classes, they think like, oh, I'm just gonna like get, toned, and you feel this nice like little cardio high. Well, that's like a totally different thing. It's not because you did like high intensity training or cardio or run, or spin class or anything else. That's just something that happens after a workout. You usually get some happy hormones, some dopamine, endorphins that encourage your brain to do the same thing again. And when you train heavy, you just kind of feel sluggish and tired because it's really huge load on the central nervous system. So it's a different feeling, but the result, is yes, from cardio, of course, you're just burning energy. You're going to probably lose a little bit of fat if you eat properly, right? If you don't overeat, if you eat in maintenance, you do more cardio over your caloric expenditure, you're going to lose some fat. Great. You're going to lose some muscle if you are in too high of a deficit. Not great. If you strength train, you're going to gain some muscle if you eat a little bit of surplus. We actually can lose body fat if you just strength train and not do any cardio. That's what the majority of my athletes do. They do strength training in the gym, they do powerlifting, and they barely do any cardio, if at all. And because it's such a huge metabolism booster, and when we get into it, they start working with heavier weights, you can expand quite some calories as well. And the workouts are also longer, right? The powerlifting workouts. So anyways, it is great to incorporate both, not because one is for strength and one is for toning, but because you need both. You need strength just to be a capable human being, and you need cardio so that your lungs and your heart work properly for long years of your life. Cool? All right. Actually, to that point, I do want to say that cardio is something that strength athletes usually slack on and lack, including myself. I don't really run right now. I hike. And yes, despite the fact that I hike, I know my endurance is not as good as it was when I was lighter and when I ran more consistently. I wasn't as strong, that's for sure, because you kind of have to pick on what to dedicate your body energy towards, right? So now I'm focusing on my strength goals, and I am dedicating all of my energy to get stronger, right? I have a competition in a month. It's really important for me to perform well. So I'm sacrificing some endurance benefits for strength benefits. Probably the next video is going to be on how your health goals are not the same as strength goals and not the same as aesthetical goals, because people think it's all fitness and it's all, cool and good. But no, when you get into like high performance sports, these are really not the same things, which is why sprinters and marathon runners train differently, they look differently. Olympic weightlifters and swimmers look differently, train differently. I mean, I hope it makes sense, right? you train differently for different things. And if you're just doing this for longevity, that's great. That's cool for you. But because I compete at a higher level now, I have to sacrifice, some maybe looks, some endurance goals, some other things that I probably would have had if I just didn't compete on the level that I do. But right now, I'm willing to sacrifice them and see how far I can get in my powerlifting. Anyways, got myself into a little rabbit hole. I'm sorry. The bogus trend number 3. Training a body part for more definition. I keep repeating myself that you cannot spot reduce, so probably half of the people who come wanting to train with me that are not powerlifters, that haven't been powerlifters already, think that if they train abs, their abs are going to be more defined. And you see this on the internet all the time, right? You see like, oh, a 5-minute ab crusher that's going to, get you a 6-pack in a month. And have you ever done that? Has that ever worked? Because that has never, ever worked for me. And it's never worked for anybody that I know. So if you find a person who that works for, who isn't already in their top shape and they just need a little bit of an edge to, get over their definition goals, I really don't know a person who is kind of like, like this, like, oh, I have some body fat, like, great. And then I do like a month of workouts and all of a sudden I'm like, and I have a 6-pack, like, I'm not a lean person. And this goes away if I put myself in the caloric deficit that requires eating less, typically, doing a little bit more cardio or a lot more cardio, depending on where I'm at, and doing that for a long period of time. Consistency, right? Bodybuilders, they get shredded over a long period of time slowly. They don't just do a 5-minute biceps routine and a 5-minute abs routine here and there, and then boom, in the month they're on stage. Absolutely not, especially the people who are natural, right? If you take performance-enhancing drugs, you can probably do that faster. I'm not sure, but people who are natural, they do this over a long haul because they don't want to lose muscle, and they train every single muscle, not for definition, because definition comes from lower body fat. They train muscles, I guess, evenly for symmetry and to make sure everything is balanced per their bodybuilding class or bodybuilding category. So I hope that makes sense. All right. You can't train a body part to make it more defined unless you're already very, very low body fat percentage and you kind of look lean, see your muscles anyways, or see nothing, you just look skinny. In that case, maybe you got quote unquote lucky with your genetics, but those people are typically hard gainers. It's hard for them to gain fat or muscle. Trust me, I've trained people who need to lose weight. It's so much easier to lose weight than to have hard gainers gain weight. Oh my God. And I've dealt with that myself. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm like fat and it's hard for me to lose weight. No, it's not hard for me to lose weight. It's actually hard for me to gain muscle, So, oh, doggy is waiting for the mailman. Hera, what's up? Okay, bogus myth number 4. Splitting training based on somebody's age group. I get, since I was on Kathy Hester's podcast last week and this week, I got a couple of messages that were like, hey, I'm like 65 and I have these and these diseases, or like I have a knee problem and back problem and I'm 60 or like I'm 55. What do you recommend that I do? And that's not enough information for me to give any advice. Plus, I don't know the person. I don't know if they have other injuries. I don't know what their goals are. So I guess I do appreciate you trusting in me and messaging me those things. That's amazing. Thank you so much. But I also want to say that maybe filling out a coaching application on my website would be better, because it asks you questions about medications you take, your goals, your injuries, things you've tried before that worked, your nutrition, and other things that I need to know to kind of answer your questions more. You don't have to, subscribe to anything or buy anything, but if you're asking a question, it would make much more sense to fill it out, or at least answer those questions in the email. So like, I know your experience, because for example, my client David, he just competed at the nationals and won a state record for deadlift and qualified for the worlds. He's 55 years old. I know people who are 55 years old and they can't walk. And then there's David, and then there's like 55-year-olds who can, I don't know, run a marathon. Right? So I don't think age necessarily, like age and your gender, I don't think those things identify the things that I need to recommend you to improve your whatever situation, right? At least tell me what your goal is. Do you want to get leaner? Do you want to get stronger? Do you want to get overall more healthy? Do you want to get injury-free or safely, improve your exercise routines and vary them, right? I don't know. That really varies. That really differs person to person, which is why I love custom coaching, which is why I do have like a basic body weight training plan, because you guys have asked me enough, and I do have a basic gym lifting plan. But like, you can find that stuff on the internet. I think the most important is they have a support group of people who do the same thing, and you guys can interact and ask me questions. I think that's the best thing, but there's people from different age groups in both of those. There's like 30-year-olds and 60-year-olds who are doing the same program, and it can be hard for a 30-year-old and easy for a 60-year-old, because a 60-year-old can be like a lifetime athlete, super conditioned, or like a farmer, really strong, used to drag around things on the farm and just like hard physical labor. So you never know. So I would say, depending on your activity level, your exercise history, right? Your athletic history throughout your life, and injuries, you can kind of see what exercises fit you better, which ones fit you less, or which ones you're not ready for yet. There's no wrong exercise for you. There's just some that you're not ready for yet. I like to say it that way. It's correct, right? First, it's correct. And second, it's super motivational, inspirational. You have something to look up to. You're like, all right, I can't do a pull-up yet, but I can do a body weight pull when the bar is like at this level, and then you can drop it, and then you can do a pull-up all of a sudden. So yeah, hope that makes sense. Last BS workout trend that we're going to talk about is overanalyzing technique. Boy, it's really nice when folks send me videos and they're like, hey, can you look at my deadlift? Can you look at my squat? What am I doing wrong? It's awesome. For most of my clients, I demand their videos, because I need to see how they move. They can be doing something just completely crazy. I have no idea how people coach somebody for powerlifting or even bodybuilding who hasn't really trained before, and they could be doing some crazy stuff. And based on their limb lengths and their proportions and their form, you just need to change program or teach them something else instead if they're not ready for it. But you can't see that without videos. So anyways, videos are great. However, some people look at the videos and they're like, oh man, oh my God, I suck. This is awful. And I can't do this. I'm just gonna go for a walk. Instead, they don't lift at all, right? Or they're looking at some YouTube video and somebody in their eyes does it perfectly, and they look at their own video, and maybe this is their 3rd or 5th or 10th time doing like a barbell back squat. And of course, they can't do it perfectly, maybe because they have tight ankles or inflexible hips or whatever it may be. Maybe they have pain somewhere. Or they just don't have the neuron pathways of understand, like their brain doesn't understand where their body is as they're moving. So they can't quite control all of the things that would be nice for them to control throughout the movement. And that will happen as they get practice. But they get frustrated because they compare themselves with this person on the internet that does it perfectly. They look at their own video, which is, again, that's great that they filmed themselves, but they look at it and get so frustrated that they say, screw it, I can't do it. It's not for me. I suck at it. I just can't. The key here and the way you can solve this is just identify the problems why you can't be doing it yet. If it's something revolving, pain or inflexibility or something else that needs to be strengthened during your root program or your routines, do that. But if there's nothing like super specific, just keep doing it. Just keep at it and you will succeed. Because your brain needs to understand, it needs to connect where the body is with where it thinks it is. And this doesn't happen over time. Think about it this way. When you first try to ride a bike, did it work? Try to write with your left hand. Is it going to work? Well, why do you think squatting perfectly is going to work the first time you try it? It's the same stuff. How many times of, not days, times of writing with your hand, with your left hand, do you need to actually have good handwriting? Remember this when you learn a new exercise and you're just ready to throw a towel because it doesn't work. Somehow you don't give up. When you're a kid and you're learning to walk and then you learn to ride a bike and swim and write, but you're ready to give up when you're at the gym and stuff is not working, you're overanalyzing your technique and it's not good. It just requires practice, honestly. Keep at it. Don't get frustrated. If you don't know what to do, you're welcome to send me videos to my Instagram or to my Facebook or leave a comment, ask me a question. I'm happy to help, but you got it. Until the next time, this was Katya. Helpful links in the description, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.